All right, sir. Good afternoon. You can hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think we have to start immediately.
You're welcome.
I can see my DP very much on time. All right, good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this edition of Inside the Arena, our monthly interview section. Today, it is my pleasure to welcome inside the arena a man who has seen it all as far as the engineering profession is concerned, a veteran of the profession, a very senior citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I can categorically state that he has crisscrossed and traversed the length, the breadth, the depth, the width, the height of the engineering profession, both vertically and horizontally, without any angular deflection. It's my pleasure to welcome inside the arena our very distinguished engineer, Professor YOUPELE Olukalama Beredugo, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Fellow of the Nigerian Institution of Civil Engineers, Fellow of the Academy of Engineering, and a recipient of the National Honor of Officer of the Order of the Federal Republic. It's my pleasure to welcome you inside the arena today, sir. And I remain your host, Engineer Ben O.C. Oko, FNSE. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you. You are still looking younger. You have to tell us the secrets of your youthful look in the course of this program, because at over 90 and almost 93, you are still looking very young and very active, not just young, very active in the profession. It's my pleasure to have you inside the arena today, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Now we go straight to the question. Before we start, let us inform or intimate our very distinguished participants of the rules of the game. The first segment of this game is what we call the direct free kick. The direct free kick is a section where the host will direct all the questions to our guest, and you will answer the questions. After that, we go to the corner kick. The corner kick is a segment where the participants will be free to ask questions to you, but we have a caveat to that. Any question we consider inappropriate or not good, we flag the question and will be exempted from answering the question. And from the corner kick segment, we go to the extra time. The extra time is a time where we now ask the participants questions also. If any of them is lucky to get the correct answer, he'll be going home with a beautiful prize. And today, we have 3 beautiful prizes to be won. Because of how heavy they are, we may not be able to show them. One is a standing gas cooker, an oven. That is the first prize. The second prize is a microwave oven. And the third prize is a 3-in-1 DexJet printer. All these prizes are courtesy of your children. It was coordinated by Engineer Dennis Dania. And in the course of the program, we are going to acknowledge all those who made contributions to get these prizes today. Thank you very much, sir. And once again, you are welcome inside the arena. Who is Engineer Professor YOUPELE BEREDUGO. Tell us about yourself, your birth, your family background, and every other thing, your educational background, and all the other things we need to know about you in a brief.
Engineer Professor YOUPELE Urukalama BEREDUGO was born on the 5th of July, 1930, in a small village in the Niger Delta called Okboama. He attended St. Paul's Anglican School, NDP, in Okboama, followed by 2 years at St. Luke's School in Nembe. He proceeded to the Government College, Umuahia, where he spent from 1948 January to July 1953. From Ibadan, from Umuahia, he went to Ibadan, spent 2 years studying pre-engineering courses, pure maths, applied maths, physics, and chemistry. Then in 1955, July, I was posted to the Queen's University of Belfast in Northern Ireland, where I graduated in 1958 with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. September 1958 to September 1959 found me at the Technological University of Delft in a special program where I studied hydraulic engineering, specializing in hydrology and water resources. I went back to Belfast, did the master's degree, and finally returned to Nigeria in 1962 to work with the Niger Delta Development Board. I was not satisfied with the conditions of service of the Niger Delta Development Board, so I quickly resigned and went to the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, as a lecturer. 1966 found me in a very difficult position. This situation in the North was not very conducive. So I applied and got leave. I went home and could not return to ABU because of the impending civil war. I then applied to the University of Nigeria in Nsukka in 1966, and I was offered appointment in December 1966. Once again, the civil war caught up with me, and in July 1967, I left Nsukka back to my village, back to my roots. But my roots were not very accommodating. The civil war was knocking on our doors. I did not believe in secession. And so I decided to leave Okpoma, which was under Biafran control, and I traveled through the creeks to Lagos, where I was employed in the Ministry of Works, in the Materials and Works Division as a senior executive engineer. Once again, my roving spirit was not satisfied with what was happening in Lagos. So I applied for a Commonwealth scholarship, went to Canada for my PhD, where I worked on the vibration of partially embedded foundation. It's a very rare area where I can claim to have made substantial contribution to the development of the response of partially embedded foundations to dynamic loads. I returned to Nigeria in November 1972. No, November 1971 as an employee of Shell. I was in Lagos until August 1972 when I was transferred to Port Harcourt. Coming to Port Harcourt, August 1972, I was transferred to Ahoda as a field engineer, but conditions in Shell were very unfavorable. Preparation of minor contracts, supervision of minor contracts, supervision of access routes to drilling stations. Those are not what I had expected in my life. So by March 1973, I resigned from Shell and joined the then College of Science and Technology, where I became the head of department and acting director of the School of Engineering. I was there until 1976, when once again I resigned, and this time I went into private practice, where I have been ever since. But no, academics was calling. So sometime in 1998, I went to the University of Port Harcourt as a visiting professor in civil engineering, but I left in 2003, went back to my private practice. But in between, national duty calls. And in 1998, I was appointed a resident electoral commissioner in the then National Electoral Commission. I was in Port Harcourt very briefly, posted to Kaduna, 1989 to 1990, transferred to Niger State, Minna, 1990, transferred to Adamawa State, Yola, 1992, 93, where I was one of those who conducted the annulled June 12, 1993 elections. In between, I've had a number of major challenges, health-wise and otherwise. I had to undergo a brain operation to remove a pituitary tumor in 1996. Then in 2012, I had to undergo another operation to put an artificial hip. My right hip was replaced and I came back limping. Today, I still have a little bit of a limp, but I'm not complaining. God has been kind to me, and I have been in private practice ever since. Well, they say old soldiers never die. Or do they never retire? So even though I am no longer practicing actively, I still collaborate with my associates in doing some background work in engineering. I am a passionate supporter of the engineering profession in Nigeria, and I've been a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers since 1968. And I was among those who participated in the first annual conference and AGM of the Nigerian Society of Engineers in December 1968 at the University of Lagos in Lagos. Then coming to Port Harcourt, I was among those who founded the Port Harcourt branch of the Nigerian Society of Engineers here in the Garden City.
Okay, I think I have to stop it there because we are still going to come to your activities in the Nigerian Society of Engineers and also the engineering profession in general. I think I will begin with engineering. Why did you study engineering? Why did you study civil engineering, to be precise?
Well, I was a member of the Science Society at the Government College, Umuahia. And we invited somebody from the Ministry of Works in Umuahia to come and give us a lecture. The man was well dressed in white and white, you know, with the hose turned around. And he spoke so well that at the end of the lecture, I approached him and asked him what his position was. He said he was a provincial engineer. And I asked him, what would I study to become a provincial engineer so that I'll be like him? He said I should study civil engineering. Wow. And that's how I got onto civil engineering, because I was a reasonably good student, and my biological sciences teachers wanted me to study medicine. My mathematics teachers wanted me to study mathematics. My chemistry teachers wanted me to study chemistry and become a chemistry teacher. But once I got this information, I went to town and I read all the books about engineering and civil engineering in particular in the college library. And there was no doubt in my mind from that date onwards what I was going to study.
Now, almost all your entire career, you practiced in Nigeria, and I want to ask you, do you have any regret practicing engineering in Nigeria?
I have no regret whatsoever. And it is not correct to say I practiced in Nigeria only. After my graduation in Belfast, I did practice civil engineering in what they call the Department of Commerce for nearly 6 months. Then in 1958, I spent 6 months in Switzerland on a special program where I studied a little bit of civil engineering and practiced civil engineering with a consulting firm. But you are correct. The bulk of my practice has been in Nigeria, and I have no regrets whatsoever for being.
Did any of your children study engineering?
No. I have 5 girls. The first one studied journalism. Second one studied sociology. Third one studied medicine. Fourth one went for engineering, but she couldn't cope. So I had to withdraw her from the university. But later on, she studied food science and technology. And it was my intention to push her into agricultural engineering. Then the last one studied psychology.
Wow.
So none of them.
Now, can I say that the provincial engineer you met when you were in secondary school was your role model?
Yes, he was. Unfortunately, I cannot remember his name, but he was indeed model.
Now, talking about, you did mention your service to the Nigerian Society of Engineers. You were one of the founding members of the Nigerian Society of Engineers Port Harcourt branch. But there was one interesting thing about your service to the branch. You were chairman from 1974 to 1976. And you came back again to serve from 1982 to 1987. What was the secret behind that?
Well, when we started, there were just 5 members of the Nigerian Society of Engineers in Port Harcourt. And Dr. Sam Meshida is my very good friend, and he was president of the society. There were records in the Nigerian Society of Engineers headquarters that a Port Harcourt branch of FNSE was approved in 1967. But I can assure you, no such branch was ever established. So once I came on board to Port Harcourt in 1972, I met with the 4 other members of the society and said we should establish a branch of the society here in Port Harcourt. But since we did not have members, what do we do? So I consulted my good friend Sam Meshida. He said we should apply without mentioning the number of members in the branch. We did, and the approval was quickly given. So what we did was to create a special cadre of engineers called local members, comprising all those who had university degrees. And we now applied for Port Harcourt to be approved as an interview center. That was granted. And we now interviewed the candidates, and membership began to grow. In the meantime, Engineer Chief Susa Okpofabri was the first chairman of the branch, 1974. No, 1973. I took over from him in 1974. And the branch secretariat was in the attaché case I was carrying around. There were very few members, but the few members we had were very dedicated. So I finished serving my first term, and I wanted to step down. They said no. They re-elected me. I wanted to step down. They said no. They re-elected me until 1976, was it? I finally decided that enough was enough, and I stepped down. Unfortunately, those who took over from me were not able to stabilize the branch as we had expected. So in 1984, was it? I'm not very good with the dates. They insisted I must come back. And so I went back and served again until 1986, when I finally bowed out. And my experience as chairman of the branch during that period, I recorded in a small book, The Musings of an Engineering Egghead.
The Musings of an Engineering Egghead.
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. Now you did mention something about our 7th president, Engineer Dr. Samuel O. Meshida, who was president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers from 1972 to 1973. Are you still in contact with Engineer Meshida?
Yes, I am.
Because why is he no longer active in the society? He's the oldest living past president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers.
He's old and not in robust health.
Okay.
He lives in an old people's home in Belfast, Northern Ireland. He doesn't live in Nigeria.
Okay. All right, you will always send our felicitation to him for his contributions to the society. Now, talking about your career, can you share some of the major projects you have been part of or you undertook in your active years as an engineer?
Well, I don't know where to start.
The major ones.
The first major one I enjoyed was the Makwaye Dam in Zaria, Samaru. NTC, Nigeria Tobacco Company, wanted to organize irrigation for the local farmers. And they approached the Department of Civil Engineering to assist them. So we designed, Professor Nelo, who was the head of the department, and myself designed an earth dam, Makwaye Dam, constructed by direct labor, supervised by me. It was a very satisfying project. Then, of course, I did quite a bit of work in the University of Port Harcourt, staff quarters, administrative blocks, the library in association with Amana Consulting Engineers, student hostels in association with Amana Consulting Engineers, then Superboard House, Powerboard Supplies, a house that was damaged during the Civil War, and I was instrumental as the structural engineer in the rehabilitation of that particular building. I think those are some of the major things. Then the last on the table is the Nembe to Tuon Brass Road, which is under construction right now. It was designed in 2007. Contract was awarded in 2010, I believe, but it was canceled in 2011. But the present administration has started constructing that road, and it will open up a part of the country which has been neglected for so long. When I was in the Niger Delta Development Board, for the short period I was there, one of the things we did was that we should try and design and construct north-south roads in the Niger Delta. These roads would obviate the crisscrossing of too many creeks. And at a later date, you will now construct east-west roads to connect some of these roads. But once I left the Niger Delta Development Board, that particular dream was not realized. And then, of course, when the Civil War came, the Niger Delta Development Board disintegrated without any proper reporting. So I was very, very interested when Goodluck Jonathan appointed my company to design that road. We did the supervision during the first period, but the present administration has not appointed us to supervise the ongoing construction. I work very actively with my associate, Torwebi Consult Limited.
Okay, now you mentioned some of the projects we are a quite big number of them, and I want to ask you this question: how can you compare the engineering practice of your days and the engineering practice of today in terms of quality and in terms of remuneration?
In terms of remuneration, in the early years, we were very well remunerated because we were using the British system of scale of fees. And it was the engineering profession that determined the fees to be paid to consultants. where you are unable to identify and compute the actual fees, we are free to charge 3.5% of the cost of the project as your fee. And then I think it is Obasanjo who now introduced the present government-approved scale of fees for engineers, which, I mean, for engineering, surveying, in fact, the built environment. And I consider that very unfair. Because if you go to a lawyer, he doesn't have a scale of fees. You pay whatever he tells you. If you go to a doctor, there's no scale of fees. You pay whatever he charges you. And yet when you come to engineering, the profession has no say. Government determines how much you are to be paid, and most of the time, they don't even pay you. When it comes to the practice itself, in the good old days, we were well trained. There was a system of pupillage, pupil engineers. So you went into the ministry as a pupil engineer and you were sent to various departments. And there are many engineers today who see me and they said, you taught me. I say, where? I say, University of Lagos. I never taught the University of Lagos. He said, but you taught me. When I query him, I find he was a pupil engineer in the Ministry of Works, where I organized lectures for these young engineers. And so you developed gradually, matured, and became a real engineer. Not these days when you come out after NYSC, you now go and register Okoli, Okokobada, and Sons. You are now a consultant. No experience.
What went wrong? What do you think? Because I want to take this question from one of these comments you made. You said the good old days. Yes. And we keep getting these kind of comments from some of our veterans, because I have asked these questions on a number of occasions, that if you come to a country like United Arab Emirates, if you are coming into Dubai, if you get to the airport, you see the progression of the country from where they are coming from. Dubai in the 80s, in the 90s, in 2000, 2010, you see that geometrical progression in development. Now, and recently I saw a photograph online of a particular building in Ibadan in 1976. And that particular spot in the year 2020 or thereabout, that of 1976 was looking better. That's the Ibadan 1976 was looking better than that of 2020. So and you have also confirmed that by saying the good old days. So what went wrong that when people like you talk, you still refer to those days and say things were better in those days? So why are we, should I say, retrogressing and not progressing? Where did we miss the link?
First is the educational system. The education of the engineer in Nigeria has not progressed as one would expect. Second is lack of employment opportunities. When you graduate from the university and you come out, today you can be roaming the streets for 3-4 years without employment. When I went to the Niger Delta Development Board, I did not even have a letter of appointment because they were looking for engineers all over the place. Even in 1971, when I went to Shell, I did not apply to Shell. Shell looked for me. But today, engineers are unemployed. Engineers are underemployed. Then the training of the engineer, the practical training of the engineer has suffered a lot. There is no systematic training of the young engineer. And most of them have to fight their way through the maze of corruption, politicization of development. And unless you belong to a particular political party, your company, yourself cannot be employed, you cannot get anything. So we have bastardized the Nigerian system, has bastardized the engineering practice in Nigeria. And today, things are not looking too rosy for the engineer. Any country that wants to develop must have the engineer at the core of the society, in politics, in the social media, anywhere, infrastructural development, because the engineer is the engine room of development in any country. And no foreigner will come and develop your country for you. Now, when you take the Dubai and places like that, they had visionary leaders who had a vision, and they brought people from outside to help them in developing their infrastructure. But you find that the key positions are held by the indigenes of that country. That is not the situation in Nigeria. All you need to do in Nigeria is come from Europe, come from America, and immediately everybody falls back. The Arabs, the Lebanese, they come here and they virtually have taken over this country. Then, of course, when the good old days came around, those who managed to get out of paid employment went into consulting. So that at the end of the day, there were very few indigenous contracting companies owned by engineers. The few indigenous companies were owned by non-engineers, and the engineer just went in, worked, and came out. And if this country is to develop, engineers must go into construction. Engineers must go into manufacturing. Engineers must go into politics. We cannot sit on the fence. If good people decide not to participate in the governance of this country, the bad ones will take over and push us to the wall. So engineers must.
Let me ask you this question. In chemistry, when we were in secondary schools, we are taught of different types of reactions. We have reversible and non-reversible reaction. And in this case, in Nigeria's case, if I can use the word redeemable or irredeemable, do you think that if you apply that to the Nigerian case, do you think that the country is redeemable? And if yes, how long do you think it will take the country to get back to that state where it was, where it actually worked?
The country is still redeemable, provided we have good leadership. Take the case of India, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia. At a time, we were at the same level of development. But today, we have been left behind because those countries had leadership committed to development of their country. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we had the military interregnum, which did not augur well for this country. They did not follow any laid procedure, and the attempt to get rid of them occupied Nigeria and Nigerians for so long that even now we are still trying to wriggle out of the effects of the military rule in this country. But I believe that with goodwill on all sides, Nigeria can still be redeemed. Hello? Hello? I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
So as I said, what we need is good leadership. And engineers should be ready and willing to provide that leadership.
All right, talking about leadership, apart from engineering, you have also been involved in a lot of leadership activities. I mentioned that of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Port Harcourt branch. And by the way, before I go there, why didn't you progress, extend your leadership to the national level of the engineering profession?
Well, that's a very pertinent question. In 1973, I contested for the position of vice president at Ibadan, and I lost. Then when Engineer Manafa was president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, the military asked him to refund mobilization fee, which he refused to refund. And there were plans to arrest him. And he said he did not want to be arrested as president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. So he said he was not going to serve for a second year. Engineer Enwa, who was then the second national vice president, and Engineer John Egbe, who was the third national vice president, approached me and said they were not yet ready to assume the positions of first national vice president, second national vice president, which would ultimately lead them which would ultimately lead them to be president and first national vice president. And they asked me to become the first national vice president in case Manafa resigned, and the then first national vice president went on to become the president. I agreed, and they brought the nomination forms. I signed and submitted them. 2 weeks to the annual conference, Nigerian Society of Engineers headquarters returned my nomination forms to me with new nomination forms and said I should complete the new nomination forms. I didn't like it. It's not these days when you have a DHL. In those days, there was no internet. And there was no way I would have completed the new nomination forms before the annual conference in Kano. When we went to Kano, Engineer Ife Akintunde was the candidate who had been nominated. And we have to admit, at that time, the branches in the West were very dominating. And they actually made statements that anybody who wanted to be president of the Nigerian Society of Engineers had to negotiate with them. And we did not like it. There was a near crisis because people said, since my original nomination was there in time, I should contest. I said, no. Ife Akintunde is alive. He's my very good friend. He came to me to say he was ready to step down for me. I said, no, you have been validly nominated. I am not validly nominated. I was not validly nominated. And they went on, the elections were held. Ife Akintunde became the first national vice president. He went on to become president, and to his credit, he was one of the best presidents the Nigerian Society of Engineers have had. And from that date onwards, I completely lost interest in becoming president of anything in the society. I did serve in the society as a chairman of the Education and Training Committee, and I ran the first set of the NSE graduateship exams. I represented NSE at the International Association of Technicians, Engineers and Technicians, with world conferences held in the US. Next one was in Helsinki, and I was a signatory to the Association of Continuing Education, World Continuing Education, though Nigeria never became a member of that association. So
okay,
that's the
okay. Let me ask you about other. You were also chairman Association of University Teachers, Ahmadu Bello University. That was from 1965 to 1966. And I never knew you played cricket. You were chairman River State Cricket Association also. And then you were president of the Rotary Club, Port Harcourt, 1981 to 1982. Can you just in 1 minute tell us what you did in these organizations when you piloted the affairs of these organizations?
Well, for cricket, anybody who went to Umahia must love cricket. It was one of the games we played passionately. I was not that good. I was good enough to be in the second 11, but because of my knowledge of the rules of the game, I was made scorer for the first 11. And I was glad to be scorer because I toured with the first 11. I played only once in Warri when we didn't have somebody to make the team. So when we came back, we encouraged the playing of cricket here in Port Harcourt. And eventually I was appointed chairman of the Cricket Association, River State. I served for just less than 1 year. Then Rotary Club is a club after my heart. It is a very interesting club that caters for the needs of the less privileged. You see people on the roadside, there's very little you can do for them. But in the Rotary Club, we collected money here and there, and collectively, we are able to provide assistance to the less privileged. And if you have an opportunity of becoming a Rotarian, please join the Rotary Club. I was a member of the Rotary Club of Port Harcourt, a member of the Rotary Club of Kaduna, a member of the Rotary Club of Mina, a member of the Rotary Club of Yola. And I enjoyed every minute of my membership of the Rotary Club. Now, which other organization did you mention again?
University, the Association of University Teachers.
Now, in those days, there was no ASO. And we modeled the University Teachers Organization like the Nigerian Teachers Union, NTU. So we had Association of University Teachers, AUT, and Olumbe Bashir of University of Ibadan was our national president, and I was chairman of the ABU branch, and the chairman of the branches formed part of the executive committee. It was a very satisfying movement, and eventually it led to the formation of an association of university teachers, which has now become the association you know today.
ASU. Okay, now something many of us here would like to know about you is by July, 5th of July to be specific, you'll be 94.
93.
93, sorry.
Only 93.
You'll be, oh, that's interesting, only 93. I've been privileged to meet with you on so many occasions, and you are still very active in the profession. You are still very sound, and in fact, almost all the Zoom meetings and online virtual meetings we
You frozen? I'm not hearing you again. I'm not hearing you again. You are offline.
He probably has a problem with his internet, sir.
That's right. It's a big problem.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Did you hear my last question?
No, I didn't.
I said a lot of people, I know many of our engineers want to live as even more than 90 years, and they would like to know the secret behind your good health. You are very sound in communication, in everything, and you can, when you were talking, you could, mention the precise dates of the event. I can say the chronology of all the events of your life. And many people would like to know, what is the secret behind this?
There is no secret. It is simply by the grace of God. But one thing I will tell you is that from the 1970s, I ceased from taking tea. I do not take coffee. I do not take any soft drinks. I do not take sugar. I do not take milk. I drink only water. I do not smoke. Well, I don't think those are secret. They are just things I do. And I just felt now, what is coffee doing to me? Nothing. Caffeine, where should I go? So I stopped taking coffee. Soft drinks, what do they do to you? Water is there. Why should I go and spend my money buying Coke? No. So I stopped drinking it. As for alcohol, I have never taken alcohol in my life. I have tasted them and I know their tastes, but I don't drink any alcohol. I've never smoked in my life.
Wow.
Well, as a young man, we all went to the other room.
Wow, I hope nobody had that. That's a question for another day. That's a question for another day, but I don't think anybody had that. I only had that. And I will keep it a secret. I will keep it a secret for another day. Now we also, before we go to the next question, for those who are just joining us, it has been an interesting moment with Engineer Professor YOUPELE BEREDUGO, the past chairman of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Port Harcourt branch, a very distinguished Nigerian who honored in almost part of the country. He has been with us.
You are frozen again. I can't hear you. Well, I thought my internet was bad.
Over 50 minutes in this. And before we go on, I want to also, can you hear me?
We can hear you again.
Okay,
you were off for quite some time.
Okay, sorry about that, sir. For those who are just joining us, we have beautiful prizes that we won today. When we get to the extra time segment, the prizes are standing gas cooker, and we have microwave oven, and we have a 3-in-1 printer. And these prizes are going to be won by 3 lucky participants in today's program. And I must thank, I think I saw him, Engineer Dania. Engineer Dania was the one who coordinated the donation of these gift items on behalf of our guests. Engineer Dania, are you here? I know Engineer Dania. I saw Engineer Dania in the course of the program. When we get to the last lap of the program, we are going to unmute you so that you can also, we can appreciate all those who contributed towards that. And let me also especially thank one man. I think without him, we wouldn't have been having this program online. The sponsor of the subscription we are using for this program. Our subscription almost for 1 year, he sponsored it, Engineer Olu Ogunduile, Kenol Engineering. Engineer Olu Ogunduile is a very committed engineer, the MD of Kenol Engineering. I know I can see Engineer Margaret Oguntala, who is the Executive Director in Kenol Engineering. She's also here with us. We want to say a very big thank you to Kenol Engineering Limited for being the sponsor, the main sponsor of this program. I think in the next edition of this program, we are going to be giving Kenol maybe a minute advert to also showcase what Kenol represents. Thank you very much. We go back to the question, to the direct free kick segment. Now, let me ask you this question. In your life, what is the biggest challenge you've had in your life? And how were you able to overcome?
The biggest challenge I have had is corruption. Corruption in many
so if you say, oh, they just, that's what the civil constitution.
Continue, sir.
Corruption in many shapes and forms. And in fact, sometimes I look back and I laugh and I smile. I left the College of Science and Technology because of corruption. Niger Delta Development Commission sacked me as a consultant because of corruption. And that's something that is very, very, very depressing in Nigeria. And until we can overcome corruption, it is better for you to be upright. You can look at people in the face and say, yes, what do you want? As a resident electoral commissioner, corruption, politicians will come. They try to corrupt you. Unfortunately, in most places, even your colleagues who are corrupt will be afraid of you. And they will now look for ways of getting rid of you because they are afraid that sooner or later you may squeal. And I think corruption is one of the malfeasance in the Nigerian system. And that's one of the biggest challenges I have had in my career. Wherever I turn around, corruption.
How were you able to overcome?
Simply by not yielding to their demands and their threats. Somebody
Now
came to me.
Okay, you can go on, sir.
Somebody came to me in the College of Science and Technology and said, the government has said all purchases should be made through Superboard, a government-owned company. His company was supplying equipment to the college. And he said, I should write a letter to the government to allow their company to continue supplying equipment to the college. And I said, no. If that is the case, the government that should write to the college. He said, look, well, you are Nigerian now, look, we'll take good care of you. I said, no, you cannot take good care of me. The college is already taking good care of me. Ultimately, this man became member of a commission of inquiry. And that commission of inquiry found me guilty of collecting money without doing work. I took the company to court and won my case. And the company ultimately paid me all the money because I did the work. Now, if I had acceded to his request, what would have happened? So do not give in to any blackmail by anybody. Do not yield. In the case of this thing, NDDC, the letter terminating my consultancy has no date because I refused to provide a variation for a non-existent project. Another case, the contractor could not work sufficiently to warrant a payment certificate, and I refused to issue one. And I showed the NDDC that there's no way I can issue a certificate of payment to this particular contractor. They said I was impeding the progress of NDDC work, and they terminated my consultancy. So once you do not give in, it can be painful. It was painful, but I believe it was well worth it. I survived without the NDDC consultancies. Created problems for me at the immediate wisdom because I had to pay my staff. Look for money to pay my staff. Suddenly the consultancies were gone. But let not the problems deter you from doing the right thing.
All right.
In the National Electoral Commission, politicians will come and threaten you. Say, if you don't do this, say you are from Rivers State. Do you want to go back to Rivers State? I said, yes. He said, well, we will see. I came back to Rivers State. I am still here. And some of those who are threatening me have gone to the great beyond. May their souls rest in peace. So my advice is never give in to blackmail, never participate in any corrupt practice, no matter how small it may be, no matter how advantageous it may appear to you at the time it is offered to you. Remain upright and put your trust in God.
Never give in to blackmail, remain upright, and put your trust in God. Thank you very much, Engineer YOUPELE BEREDUGO, for that beautiful admonition. Now you have won so many, you've bagged so many honors. And one of them is the National Honor of Officer of the Order of the Federal Republic. Among all the honors you have had in your life, which of them do you consider as the greatest of them all?
I'm afraid I cannot answer that question. All I know is that most of the honors are local, and the OFR is a national, nationwide honor. So that's the one that is recognized and recognizable everywhere. But some of the other honors, give you considerable satisfaction. For example, when your Nigerian Society of Engineers recognizes you, the Presidential Award, or when your community recognizes you for the contribution you have made to the development of the community. So I don't think I can say, oh, this is the most prestigious, this is not the most prestigious. All of them, all honors are equally prestigious.
Now, as we are wrapping it up, because when you were talking, you tried to relate the issue of being steadfast and being able to stand against corruption. We have many young engineers, many young engineers who just come out of the university. Maybe they struggle for many years to get a job, maybe 4 or 5 years. When one finally gets a job and he finds himself in the kind of situation you found yourself in those days, and then he has his job on the left hand, he has his integrity, the right hand, and if he does not compromise, he may stand a chance of losing that job that took him so many years to get. And you see that in that situation, many, I would say, have buckled. And I want you to summarize by, what is your advice to young engineers when they find themselves in this kind of situation? Is there light at the end of the tunnel for them if they decide, even putting their jobs at risk, to stand for what is just and what is right?
I will always advocate for them to stand for what is right and what is upright. Never give in to corruption, even at the risk of losing your job. It is better to be upright with a good name than to be corrupt. You may be affluent, but it's all ephemeral. Your good name is worth much more than gold and silver. There's this, I hope I'm not digressing too much, story of the old man on his deathbed. His children railed against him because he didn't leave anything for them. Then years later, this old man had died, and that young lady went for an interview. She mentioned her name. Say, what did you say your name is? She mentioned the name again. The chairman of the interview panel said the interviews had ended. What about the other candidates? Said there was no need interviewing the other candidates. Young lady, you have been employed. Why? Because of something her father had done. He did not leave a kobo for them, but he left a good name. And the chairman of the interview panel was a beneficiary of that good name. And
Wow.
He remembered the old man's goodness, his uprightness in holding on to the truth. So when his daughter came for the interview and they had the name, he said, well, that's a chip off the old shoulder. The job is
That
yours.
is to say that is in line with what the Bible says, that a good name is better than riches.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Compromise your good name.
Thank you so much. I believe many of us who are part of this program have had that we should never compromise. We should never compromise. Stand firm. And then there will always be a light at the end of the tunnel. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the end of this segment, and I want to ask you this question, Engineer Beredugo. You've told us about the book you wrote. Do you have any plan of, do you have an autobiography of your life? Or is the book you wrote, is it your autobiography?
No, I have written my autobiography, and it was launched on my 95th birthday, and this is my autobiography.
Wow. The next time I visit Port Harcourt, I will surely come and pick a copy of that because I would like to read it in and out.
Divinely Engineered Moments in Time is the title.
Divinely Engineered
Moments
in Time.
Yes.
Wow.
Now, the Nigerian Institution of Civil Engineers organizes an annual lecture in my honor. And at every lecture, I normally write something on a moment. Moment in time, moment in history, moment in fellowship, moment in service. So when I decided to write my autobiography, I said, well, this one is a moment in time. Then talking to somebody said, your engineering is divine. So I can say, that's it. So divinely engineered moments in time.
Thank you very much, sir. One would ask, with all these accolades and all these achievements, why didn't you go into politics?
Having served as a resident electoral commissioner, I interacted with politicians at all levels. And believe you me, it's not what many of us would like to go into at the present level of development in Nigeria. When I was in Adamawa State, people like Atiku Abubakar were the young and upcoming politicians of the day. And believe you me, with all due respect, politicians can lie. And my 4.5 years experience with the politicians put me completely off politics. Every animal, every human being is a political animal. We have our political beliefs, we have our political this. But my problem with Nigeria is that there's no ideology. When I was in Britain, I was a little bit of a Fabian socialist. In Canada, I supported the New Democratic Party. But in Nigeria, I could not identify any political party for affiliation because they don't have any ideology. You see a man in NDP today, you see him in APC tomorrow, the following day is in PDP. What is he looking for? So politics completely ruled out.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I know we have tried as much as we can to touch every aspect of your life. And on a final note, what is your advice looking at the society, which you served for so many years, starting as chairman of the Nigerian Site of Engineers, Port Harcourt branch, and also looking at the engineering practice in Nigeria and the engineering profession? What advice do you have for engineers in Nigeria and also for the umbrella organization of the Nigerian Society of the Engineers in Nigeria, talking about the Nigerian Site of Engineers, vis-a-vis the vision of the society?
I believe the vision of the society has not changed dramatically. That is, learning from the problems of particularly the UK, that we have an umbrella organization for all engineers in Nigeria. Then we have the divisions providing specialization in their various divisions. And I think if we follow through, we'll be able to grow the engineering profession in this country. There are hiccups here and there. There'll be failures from time to time. There'll be disappointments from time to time, but that is life. We should accept the good, the bad, and the ugly. Shift them. Take what is good. The old saying, do not throw the baby with the bath water. So look at the problems of the engineering profession in Nigeria and try to solve these problems under the umbrella of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Then, of course, you have the Nigerian Academy of Engineering. It's a veritable vehicle for the growth of the engineering profession. And I think I would advise most budding engineers to aspire to become fellows of the Nigerian Academy of Engineering. Unfortunately, you cannot apply for membership. You are invited to join. So your participation in the NSC, your contribution to the engineering profession will be seen by those who are in charge, and one day they will say that young man, that middle-aged man, that old man has made contribution to the engineering profession, is worthy to become a member of the Nigerian Academy of Engineering. And I think between these two organizations, and with the active participation of COREN in regulating engineering profession in Nigeria in all its ramifications, we will eventually achieve our goal of becoming the engine room of development in Nigeria.
Wow, thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. We are pleased to have you inside the arena today. And we assure you that we are not done yet with you. When you go outside the arena, we still are going to be consulting with you to tap your rich wealth of experience in the engineering profession and also as a statesman, as a national statesman. Thank you very much, Engineer Professor YOUPELE BEREDUGO, for being our guest inside the arena today. We are going to be going to the corner kick segment where questions will be directed to you by the participants. And we have our rule. Any of the participants that has a question should click or should tap the raise hand button so that we can unmute you to ask your question. I can see the first person, Fidelis Ejikeme. I will unmute you now to ask your question, sir. Engineer Fidelis Ejikeme, please, can you unmute your mic, sir?
I have done so, sir.
Okay, you can go on, sir.
Good evening, sir, Professor BEREDUGO, and good evening all. Please,
Good
sir.
evening.
Please, sir, can you tell us a little bit more about the behavior of partially embedded foundation vis-a-vis fully embedded foundation, probably in terms of damping and so on. And also, I really, I don't know if you are seeing my chest. I see my chest. I see my chest.
Let me.
I see me. I see
No,
me.
I think your video is not showing.
I've had so many interruptions. Let's see.
Your video is not showing.
It's not showing. How
Okay,
do I get
I've sent a request to you to do that.
start my video, okay?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, I can see you now.
Now you can see me. It's good.
Yes.
You didn't see me all the time, but you can see. I'm glad you can see me now. Can you see what I have in front of me?
Yes.
Okay. On my left-hand side is the musings, a copy of the musings of an engineering egghead. And on my right-hand side is the divinely engineered moments in time. These are the two books that Professor BEREDUGO talked about today. I recommend them to everyone who hasn't read them yet. So I'll keep them on my chest. So my second question, sir, is, yeah, pardon me if I say you're a little bit old school. I'm also old school. Based on that, do you think that before Nigeria can make progress at all in life, we need to have reforms in education? Okay, let's bring it down to civil engineering. We need reforms in our educational, in our engineering education, in our engineering training, in our engineering practice, experience. Reforms, changing the system of education from primary to secondary level before they get admission to university. And then, sir, you know, you talked about popular engineers, which I believe is most important, because probably you believe, or you will agree with me, that going to the university is just where you acquire 50% of the knowledge. And then when you leave the university and go into pupillage or go into work for, that's where you got obtain the other 50%. But here in Nigeria, it's virtually impossible to obtain the other 50% in practice, because there's nowhere people can practice. Please let me stop so far so that others can also have time to ask questions. Thank you.
Okay, sir, you can respond to the questions so that we don't get so many of them together.
Okay, first of all, the vibration of partially embedded foundation. I don't know how many of the papers you have read, but if you read it, there's what we call the embedment ratio. And you have an embedment ratio of 1 when the foundation is fully embedded. So the theory can also be used for fully embedded foundations. And in fact, they have used it for foundations which are buried, nuclear power stations. And I understand the Navy, the American Navy, uses it in different ways. So it is not just restricted to embedment ratios of less than 1. You can use it for all embedment ratios. And the beauty of it is that it is simple and easy to use. Now, when it comes to engineering training, we are a little bit shortchanged. The major professions, law, when you come out of the university, you go into law school. It's after law school before you can practice. When you come out of medical school, you go into housemanship. It is only after the housemanship that you can now practice as a doctor. And having practiced as a doctor, most of them don't go in for PhDs and this, that. They now have professional training. And unlike the fellowships we award in engineering, their fellowships are academic. That is, they go back to the university, they go back to the teaching hospitals to study and get their fellowships. We do not have any equivalent in engineering. That when we finish from the university, after the NYSC, we are thrown into the job market with little or no practical experience. And I think the Indians have a college of engineering, the Indian College of Engineering, where after you come out of the university, you go into the Indian College of Engineering. where you now go through practical training. And I think we need something like that in Nigeria. That after the university and the 5 years, 6 years we are spending in the university, for me, is a little bit too long. Anything we cannot do in 4 years in the university, forget about it. Let this young man come out with his knowledge of engineering science, go into a practically oriented 1 or 2 years, preferably 1 year of engineering education, so that when he comes out of that place, he now had full knowledge, not just of theory, but of practice, and is ready to go into the engineering profession. At the lower level, we need to introduce engineering education, science earlier in the secondary school, particularly at the A-level stage, so that people will come out from the A-level with a little bit more knowledge of engineering. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. We take the next person, Engineer Abdurrashid Babalola. Can you unmute?
Thank you.
Can you go on, sir?
Okay. Thank you, Engineer Ozzy. Very interesting. I'm happy today to be meeting at this forum an erudite professor, Engineer Professor BEREDUGO, who I must say that is always online. There is no program that I post, either lecture, before we start, he's already waiting. At any time, be in the midnight, afternoon, is always ready. The second thing I want to say before
go on, sir. Can you go on, sir? Are you still with us?
Maybe he's having problem.
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay.
Okay. Are you hearing me now?
We can hear you. Go on.
Okay. The second thing is that I want Prof to give us on this forum the secret why at 95 you can still read very clearly without your reading glasses. That is not my question anyway. That's on a very lighter mood. My question is this. When Prof was admonishing engineers, he said, we need to construct, we need to manufacture, and we also need to join politics. At the last portion of this interview, while Prof was asked, why did he not join politics? He said it's a very dirty game. So Prof, if you have asked us to join politics that you know is dirty, how do we manage to survive in a dirty game while you have always told us that we should be upright in all that we do? That is my question, Prof. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Can you respond to that?
Yes. The reason why we should go into politics is that there's need to reform the politics of this country. Now, I'll give you Singapore as an example. Singapore was probably as corrupt as Nigeria. But when Lee Kuan Yew became the Prime Minister of Singapore, he instituted some very draconian laws which put all politicians on notice that it was no longer business as usual. And gradually, Singaporean politics has been reformed. Same thing with Malaysia. I remember Matthew Mahathir at 98 or something went back as prime minister to sanitize the system because the younger generation were deviating from the established line. And if enough Nigerian engineers or enough Nigerians will go into politics with a view to serving, there'll be a change. Right now, what is happening is that Nigerian politics is employment. The politicians are looking for employment. They are looking for money. But when we get to the stage where people already have money, you practice as an engineer, you are well off, you don't need any money, and you go into politics to serve, then the system will gradually be reformed and the politics of our dreams will one day emerge even in Nigeria. And in my opinion, one of the ways in which we can start is not to make the membership of the National Assembly, membership of the State House of Assembly full-time. Let them be part-time. You are paid when you sit. You are not paid when you don't sit. So if you don't have money to maintain yourself, don't go into politics. And I would advise that if engineers go into politics and they stay clean, we certainly will arrive at a situation where politics will no longer be considered a dirty game.
All right, Engineer Dr. George Nwankwo. Please, if you are muted, you go straight to the question.
Yeah, please confirm that you are hearing me.
We can hear you, sir.
Can you confirm you are hearing me? Okay.
Yes,
we can.
Thank you, the moderator. And thank you, the most valuable engineer. I've been a student of your life for a long time. And I also want to appreciate you because you have been really wielding a lot of engineering teachings. To those of us who work, they call it lessons learned. You know, because if you carry out so many projects and you are starting a new one, you need to consult similar projects that have been done successfully so that you can learn from their failures and their advantages. So we are learning so much from you. Thank you for that. My question it will be of twofold. The very first one, most valuable engineer, is a question from my son, who was aspiring to study civil engineering. And his question is, what is the difference between civil engineering and highway engineering, dam engineering, and all that? So it became a bit difficult for me to answer. I tried to explain civil engineering and then also tried to explain those ones. And he continued by telling me that all I have described are all embedded into civil engineering. I saw him teaching me what really I'm supposed to be teaching him. So what is really the difference, the key difference or differences between civil engineering and all these other ones I have mentioned that are supposed to also be part of civil engineering? Because I asked, this question will also help us to really also define, because we have so many institutions in Nigerian sector of engineers, And we have institution of civil engineers, institution of geotechnical, and all those ones I've mentioned. What is really the key differences between these ones and civil engineering? Then my next question is on the growth of engineering profession in Nigeria. You have tried really to harness on that in your previous answer to that of Engineer Fidelis, Senior Engineer Fidelis, HKM. So how do we really grow engineering profession in Nigeria? Growing civil engineering and growing it in this real professional form, because you find out that even the contractors you mentioned, there are so many contractors who claim they are engineering contractors, but they don't.
Can you summarize
Check
that?
where they don't even have a single professional engineer in them, but they collect contracts and all that. So thank you so very much. Thank you.
I think we are going to take the next person so that you can combine the answers, sir. We'll take
I have finished. I have finished my.
Okay. We take Nelly.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to speak in two capacities. Professor BEREDUGO, I'm an old boy of Government College Umuahia, and so I'm going to speak in that capacity, and I'm also going to speak in the capacity of an engineer. I am also an engineer. I graduated from Government College Umuahia in 1970. Professor BEREDUGO graduated in the 40s, which is a long time. I am based in the US. I went to Nsukka, worked for 3 years, and I practiced engineering in the US for 40 years now, 39 years. And I'm going to speak as an old boy. Professor BEREDUGO is 92 years old, and he chairs a committee that I'm the vice chair on. Exceptional integrity and forthrightness in his emails and his conversation and his discussions. He always focuses on the target and the principles at hand. Incredible for his age. We all marvel. When he leaves, we all talk amongst ourselves. How can he do that at that age? But as an engineer, I respect what he has said, because I worked in Nigeria for 3 years, and there is nothing that will bring us back to where we need to be than what his comments about how we sustain engineering in Nigeria. It is about education, one. It is about training after education, and also it is about lack of employment or underemployment, as he said it, and then corruption. I worked designing dams in 1980 and 81 for N-Plan. My uncle, FNSE, was the owner and director of the N-Plan. N-Plan is an engineering designing firm based in Enugu, had a whole bunch of people. Even then, as a field engineer, we were tempted by the locals with money to avoid the pathways. So I absolutely agree with his comment that the way to go ahead is it is better to be upright than to lose and be corrupt. And I applaud BEREDUGO and Professor, please, and I'm very, very ecstatic at this recognition. This is less of a question and more of a commentary. I am interested in his comment about vibration of partially embedded foundations in under dynamic load. I did static load design at the University of Michigan, and I want to understand what implication that has. Is it for roadway construction, bridge construction, or superstructure construction? I am an expert now in construction of high-rise buildings, 14 stories and above. So I'm interested in how that philosophy or how that study impacts or impacted his life during his planning stages when he was a consultant. How much did you use that in your design in your Nigerian employment life? And thank you so much, sir. And this is a great, great opportunity and accolade for you. Thank you.
Okay, sir, please, sir, can you respond to these ones so that I can take the next batch?
Well, first of all, Judge Eze, his son's question about civil engineering, highway engineering, water engineering. Now, engineering is a very big profession, very wide, very deep. But basically, it started off as engineering. Then it split into two: military engineering for the military, civil engineering for the civilian community. Then this civil engineering split into mechanical engineering, electrical engineering for many, many years. So we had civil engineering, mechanical engineering, and electrical engineering. But as knowledge expanded, new areas of study, new areas of application came into these three broad areas. So in civil engineering, you now had people who specialize in the design and construction of highways, people who specialize in the design and construction of dams, people who specialize in the design and construction of water supply systems, people who specialize in the design of the environment. So over time, knowledge now became so wide that it was no longer possible for one man to specialize in all these areas. And so while the basic civil engineering remains, you can no longer just say you are a civil engineer. And you find that civil engineering, you practice in various specializations. Now, I practice as a structural engineer. I practice as a geotechnical engineer. I practice as a hydrologist, hydrological engineer. Now, all these are part of civil engineering. And in your university system in our days, we studied a little bit of each of these areas. But it was only after you've left the university that you now specialize in one or two of these areas in your practice. So there is no confusion. Civil engineering has many divisions, many specializations. And you should aim at going into the university because not many universities provide these other areas at the undergraduate level. They are available at the postgraduate level. So you study your civil engineering, you then go on to specialize as a highway engineer, a dam engineer, a water engineer, a railway engineer, airport engineer, and so on. Then coming to NLE, thank you for the Umuahia angle. Umuahia is a unique experiment in education in Nigeria. And if you have the opportunity to send your son to Umuahia, please don't hesitate. Do so now. Don't wait until next year. He will get the type of education which will prepare him for the new Nigeria. Now, coming to vibrations and the embedded foundation. Unfortunately, there is very little practice of dynamic structural engineering in Nigeria. And hardly could you be employed to do anything. And that's another area. I wanted to start at the refinery in Port Harcourt to use simple vibration measurements as a tool for maintenance. And the first thing the engineer asked me, how much was he going to get? And of course, that is the part of the practice of engineering in Nigeria. So I must admit, there has been very little use of my research work here in Nigeria, but it is widely used outside Nigeria. Nuclear power stations, NASA, the Navy, the Air Force. When your satellite is taking off, the vibrations caused by it, they use different theories to analyze these vibrations. And I understand my method is one of those employed in these checks in designing the foundations. And I am widely quoted. If you are interested, you go to Google Novak Beredugo or Beredugo Novak, and you will see the various publications dealing with a simple method which I developed for the analysis and design of vibrating foundations. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I think we will go to the next three people. I think we divide into two, and then we'll wrap it up for today. Engineer Daniami Etire. You have been unmuted. Can you talk? Etire. We can't hear you. Okay, while we wait for you to sort out the technical issues, Engineer our DP, Engineer Margaret Oguntala.
Yes. Thank you, Engineer Ben Osi. Good afternoon, sir. Our revered icon. I can say that this is the arena in which I've spent most time. And it's due to the fact that I've met you personally, apart from the fact that I also know that you are not just young in looks, you are also very cerebral and very active, very alert and all of that. All the things that I'd like to be when I grow up. I have 2 pages of jottings here. And I'd just like to thank you, sir, for all the advice, for the insights, and particularly for your advice for engineers and the NSE. Advising us to accept the good, the bad, and ugly, stick to them and accept the good, then work on the bad and the ugly. I'm also very interested in your the advice for reforms in education, particularly the training of our young graduates. And it's something that I will contact you, sir, for further insights on that, and how to actually make use of that advice. But there is one thing that you did not mention, sir, and it's the fact that apart from the fact that you do not read with glasses, like Engineer Dr. Babalola observed, you are also a good dancer. I watched you dance in Port Harcourt during the 50th anniversary, and I was amazed. You know, it was so amazing watching you dance with such steps, such very good steps, even at your age. So how do now sometimes when I try to bend to dance, I feel some pain. So how do I keep my body that flexible, sir? Again, on a lighter note. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ma. I think we'll take Ima Anyanwu also so that we can wrap it up with the next three people. Ima Anyanwu. If Ima is not...
No, I've unmuted myself now.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, please.
Yeah.
Go on, sir.
That young head called Okay Nelly, who is an engineer practicing in America, he's always beating me to it. I wanted to tell everybody that, very proudly that I'm of Government College YOUPELE stock, and that I could say I'm of the same stock with Professor BEREDUGO, but he beat me to it yet again. I'm not going to be forgiving him very easily. Okay, Nelly was my classmate in both Government College YOUPELE and the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, where we both studied civil engineering. I'd like to, having associated myself with Professor BEREDUGO, I want to thank him for what he is for the engineering profession. I've read quite a number of his books. In short, I have one autographed by him, and I keep it as a keepsake. I brandish it to everybody. I thank God for his life and his contributions to both Government College YOUPELE and the practice of civil engineering. I want to
I didn't hear him.
Can you repeat? I think we've lost him. Okay, Sab, while we are waiting for him, I think you can respond to the questions by Engineer Margaret Oguntala so that we can.
And I don't know how to answer her question. I didn't know that I was such a good dancer. At the 50th anniversary celebration of the Port Harcourt branch of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, the Civil Engineering Division was asked to go out and perform. Nobody was going out. So I just moved out to encourage the young ones to come out and dance. I did not know that they were videotaping me, and somehow it went viral. There's no, once again, there's no secret. You just use your body, use your strength, use your strong points, and get on with life. Now, at my age, I live one day at a time. Every day, there's something very small in your life. And you find that there's now a change and a new sheriff is in town. When I look at the way I walk now, I am amazed. And one of my grandsons asked his mother, say, Mommy, why does Grandpa walk like a penguin? So I went in front of the mirror and I looked at myself, and sure enough, I was swaying from side to side, but I'm still walking. So, Madam, have courage, walk, and you will make it. Now, for the engineering education, I think that's an area where I am passionate about. And I think the Nigerian Society of Engineers and the engineering profession in general has to think out of the box and find a way of ensuring that the engineers we produce are employable and will provide useful contributions to the engineering profession in Nigeria. Well, Engineer Nyawo did not complete his question, other than being an old boy of Government College Umuahia, and at the risk of being over ambitious. If you have a son and you have the opportunity, don't miss it. Send him to Government College Umuahia. It is the college that produces men who are worthy of their salt. People like me are just small boys coming up. But when you look at people like Chinua Achebe, Ralph Opara, well, Christopher Okibu, you know that this college has produced and is continuing to produce men of caliber who have served Nigeria very well. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Please want to appeal to the next people to ask questions. Please, if you want to ask, make comments, please, you can leave that for now. You ask your questions, go straight to the question so that we can wrap it up in the next 5 minutes. Please. Belema.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, engineer, sir, our moderator. And thank you, our most valuable engineer and father of FNSE Port Harcourt branch. Sir, I want you to advise us, especially we consultants in Rivers State. Currently, the projects that we are observing that are being constructed are design and build. And most time our consultants are no longer engaged. If you look at NDDC, most of our consultants are redundant. You go to the state ministries, no consultancy. So, sir, what is the future of consultancy in Rivers State? I don't know, other states may experience the same challenges, but I want to be particular of Rivers State. What is the future of consultancy in Rivers State, the way it is going? Thank you, sir.
E.D. Ukonu.
Yes, thank you for giving me the permission to do this. My name is Ed O'Connor. I am the current Government College Umuahia USA Old Boys Association USA president. I am joining my brothers, Engineer Ken Haley and Engineer Manyamu, in first of all applauding the society for this initiative in honoring our beloved Professor BEREDUGO. And second of all, I have no questions, but on behalf of Government College Umuahia Old Boys Association in the United States, we want to congratulate Dr. BEREDUGO for this very much deserved recognition, and we just wholeheartedly say congratulations to you, sir. He is a very proud member of the Mayan family. We love Dr. Berdugo and will participate in anything and in any honor on his behalf. So again, we applaud the society and congratulations to you, sir. We love you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We take Engineer Aniebet Achibong and then finally Engineer FAEng Ogolo. We wrap it up.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity. First of all, I want to appreciate our veteran senior engineer. Sir, I just want to thank you for you sharing your experience and your knowledge with us. Seriously, your contribution to the engineering committee are truly commendable. I'm so fortunate to be here and having this opportunity to learn from the well of your knowledge. First of all, I want to ask, sir, because from the statement you gave us from the beginning, when you started with NDDC, it get to a point that you had to resign. You joined Shell, you resigned because of the way they were doing things was not okay with you. I want to ask, what were the approaches? Because I know it was a problem that happened that made you to resign. What were the approach you used then to see how you can solve those problems? And since it didn't work out, then you resigned. Because now, if we as a young engineer, even the question that I wanted to ask what our chairman asked, now we spend time to even get a job. We spend years to even get a project to handle. If we keep on using this method that is not working, we pull out of the system looking for one that is favorable. How are we going to grow? And also, what are the methods we're using to handle some of those problems during your time, sir? Thank you so much, sir.
All right, Engineer FAEng Ogolo, that is the last question for today. You can unmute your mic, sir. Okay, you can go on and unmute your mic. Can you unmute your mic, sir?
Okay, I was struggling to unmute since until now, before you allowed me from your own. I want to thank you, Engineer Ben Osi, for organizing this, and also to thank our most valuable engineer, Engineer Professor Beredugo, for this honor in being in the arena. As others have noted, he has not disappointed us from Port Harcourt. He has been our role model. What I want to ask, sir, is we have got the local content law, the local content act, we've got Order 5, but still they continue going round and round, and the engineers don't seem to take over their country in doing things. As you've pointed out, mistakes may be made and so on, but we just need to take over this country. Do you suggest that NSC and Koren should form a special body, should form a special committee to which they may call local content committee, to look at areas where they will do what other countries did. Tunisia and others did that even in Africa. We just need to reserve jobs for Nigerians, Nigerian firms and so on, and say there must be the lead, and others, no matter the thing, others will join them. If it's consultancy, others will join them. Or if it's contracted, others will join them. Because this is the only way to grow. Because we've gone to a presidential Order 5. At the end, we go round and round. Then you go to BPP guidelines. At the end of the day, they make rules and then undo Nigerians again. put some stringent measures, they don't seem to align. So do you agree that they need to set up a special committee to look at what is happening again with local content policy of Nigeria and ensure that this new government coming in will ensure that engineers and other professionals take over the development of this country, whether it's construction, whether it's town planning and so on. They must be in the lead and others will join us. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Well, you want me to answer the questions now?
Yes, you can go on, sir.
Well, first, Eddie Okano, thank you once again for bringing our Umuahia connection to the forefront. It's a school of which I am very proud, because what I am today is partly out of the training I got from Government College Umuahia, and anywhere I go, I carry that with me. Thank you, Ukano, for mentioning that. Then, Achibong, you talked about design. Now, these are government policies, and I do not support the design and construct policies of government. I think that the two should be separated. Somebody should design the project. Then the contractor comes in to construct. But in the Nigerian space, anything goes. And each government does what it wants. Unfortunately, the profession is not strong enough to resist the vagaries of policies from one government to the other. And a situation where in Rivers State, there are 11 flyovers and one company is responsible for the design and construction of these 11 flyovers. And while they claim to be experts in the design field, some of the flyovers they have designed have not solved the problem they set out to solve because there are design faults. And the engineering profession, in my opinion, should continue to insist that consultancy and construction should be separate. That is my personal opinion. And there's nothing I can do to the government, but we as engineers, those who believe in the separation, construction and consultancy, should continue to fight for the consultants to be allowed to do their work and the contractors to do their work. Now coming to FAEng Ogolo's question, he may remember that what is now Nigerian content started as a local content for the oil producing areas. And it was an initiative of Shell Company of Nigeria that they were trying to develop a program in which the local communities will be giving preference in carrying out certain contracts, in nominating contractors for certain contracts, in nominating consultants for certain consultancies, provided that these people are qualified. And the idea was to develop local expertise. Fortunately or unfortunately, the federal government hijacked the local government, the local content idea, and made it a Nigerian content. A Nigerian content. So the whole idea of developing the local communities, developing expertise in the local communities was now lost in the greater import of a Nigerian content. And I think that the Nigerian content has not worked. All we have is a headquarters building in Yenagoa, but there is hardly any Nigerian content in that organization. It has been hijacked by certain powerful people, and today, very little is being done to develop the local expertise which we need. Because in the Niger Delta, we are living in the midst of plenty, and yet we have no water to drink. Water, 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 but no water to drink, all salt water. Then coming to the problem of, now what was it? Special committee. I don't think we need a special committee. We have too many committees already. I believe that Koren on its own, NSC on its own, both are capable of handling the issues of the Nigerian engineer and the problems of engaging local people in local problems. Now, one thing which has inhibited the growth of particularly Nigerian construction is the limitation that before you can apply for a job of 5 billion naira, you must have handled a contract of 3 billion naira. So when a company comes up, like Giga Plus, it has experienced engineers, but because the company has not carried out any major project, it will now be confined to carrying out the small projects, 1 million naira, 2 million naira. While less competent companies, manned by less competent people, because they have handled the big projects, are now giving the contracts for the big projects. And I think there needs to be a change in our approach to the way we award the contracts, the way we deal with companies, that it is not just the experience of the company itself, but the experience of those who are running the company, the experience of those who are working for the company, the experience of those who are, as it were, marketing the company. And if we do that, then some of our experienced engineers can now go into the contracting field and make an impact. Thank you. God bless.
All right, thank you so much, Engineer Beredugo, for responding to the questions. I think with that, we've come to the end of this segment. And before we ask the questions, let me quickly bring on board Engineer Daniel, so that we can appreciate all those who made donations for the gift items we are going to be giving to the lucky winners today. Engineer Daniel, please, can you unmute your mic and then maybe thank on behalf of the people who contributed
Thank you very much, Engineer Banusi. It's a pleasure. It's my great pleasure that this program has come to reality today. At least we're able to celebrate our elder statesman, our daddy, our non-engineering, our legendary engineer, Professor BEREDUGO, who have been able to feature in this arena today. Without wasting much of our time, I want to quickly appreciate our great donors, because we shielded this in from our daddy. We don't want him to know that we are sponsoring the program on his behalf. So we kept it out from his side. Only involve a daughter who helped to form the account and make sure that we have the funds available to the program. So he's knowing for the first time today that we did such behind him. So we feel that this is the way we can celebrate him while alive. And we are very happy to appreciate our great donors. The first and foremost is engineer, Dr. Chief Sir Innocent Akubwe, FNSE, the Ozo Chudo one from Anambra State, who is the MD and CEO of GGI International Limited. He was the first to give us a very big salvo of 100,000 naira to support the program. We want to really seriously appreciate him for what he has done. The Nibo community in his community where he's Ochudo one, we appreciate them for giving us a big son like this, who is a great donor and is a great giver. Also on the line of donors, whom we have to really appreciate also is engineer Chief G. Masari, Giadomenico Masari, FNSE, who also supported this program with a sum of 100,000 naira. The MD, the GM of the engineer Chief G. Masari, former Vice President of NSC, who we all know very well. We also supported the program. We also have our dad in the house, who is also there, a man of many letters, a man of first in so many things, and whose name speaks for him, engineer FAEng Chima Ogolo, FNSE, who also gave a salvo donation of 50,000 naira to support the program. We also want to appreciate in a very special way and also a distinguished fellow of the Nigeria Civil Engineer Port Harcourt branch and a chairman of Nigeria Institute of Highway and Transport Engineers Port Harcourt chapter, engineer Charles Olovie, FNSE, who also gave us a support donation of 30,000 naira. We also appreciate in a very special way engineer Dr. Chief Hachimenu Amadi, the branch chairman of NSC Port Harcourt branch, who also gave a support donation of 10,000 naira to support the program, and many others. And also myself, my humble self, I also tried to support and cap it up to make the event a huge one. With this, we're able to make this program a huge success. And we feel today and honored to have our daddy celebrated on this great arena platform that's been featured today. It's our pleasure. I will thank God for it. I will thank our daddy for giving us the opportunity to honor him. Thank you, BEREDUGO, who has given us that platform. We want to appreciate you in a special way, because if you have not given us that platform to honor our daddy, it will not be possible. So we want to appreciate you, Engineer BEREDUGO, for a wonderful work.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And we want to announce that 3 of the participants are going to be going home with 3 big prizes. A standing gas, which is our star prize, and we have also a Hisense microwave oven, which is also here, and we have the last but not the least, a 3-in-1 DexJet printer, which I know all fingers are already on the keyboards waiting for us to ask the question. And now we have a rule: if you send in the question, the answer before we finish asking the question will be disqualified. Once we have finished asking the questions, we will now say go before you can answer the question. Now, quickly, the question goes this way. What did engineer Professor YOUPELE Orukalama Beredugo study at Delft University from 1958 to 1959? Go.
Yes.
Okay, I'm seeing the answers coming in. Before we get the first three that got the correct answer, Engineer Beredugo will be the one to give us the correct answer first, and then we'll now go through the chat box and see the first three participants that got the correct answers. Engineer Beredugo, please, can you confirm the correct answer to the question? What did you study? What did you study from September 1958 to September 1959 at Delft University?
Hydraulic engineering.
Hydraulic engineering. Fantastic. Yes. So we quickly go to the questions, to the chat box, and see the first person to send in the correct answer. From my own end, I can see Kingsley Adiole, one from my own side. And going down, I see Jalia Shuaib. I see Jalia Shuaib, and if I'm not mistaken, and the third one is Chukunalo Azaka. Maybe you confirm from your own end to know whether what I am seeing here is the same thing with what you have from your own end. Hello, sir, can you confirm from your own end? And please, for the participants, if you confirm if what I mentioned is the same thing with what you mentioned, you can raise your hand also that we can be sure that we are not giving the prize to the wrong person. Please, it's very, very important. I have number one on my list is Kingsley Adiole. Kingsley Adiole, hydraulic engineering. After him, we had Otunte, who said civil engineering. He got it wrongly. Down to the next person that got hydraulic, Jalia Shuaib. Jalia Shuaib. And finally, Chukunalo Azaka. Please, can we confirm if those are what we have? I think I have to start showing the faces. Shuaib, can you show us your face, please? And Azaka, can you also show us your face? Oh, a lady. Kingsley, can you show us your face? Okay. Jali, Shuaibu, can you show us your face? And then Azaka, can you show us your face? All right. So can you tell us about yourself? Let's know you, please. Kingsley, where are you based?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kingsley Adiole. I'm based here in Abuja.
Okay. Shuaibu, where are you based? Shuaib, can you unmute?
Hello, good evening, sir.
Where are you based? Where do you stay? Where do you stay? Azaka, can you show us your face? Shuaibu, please, where do you live? Okay, Azaka, where do you stay?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chukunalo Azaka. I stay in Abuja, and I work with Prince Hamas Limited.
Okay. Shuaibu, please, can you tell us where you stay? All right, while we are waiting for you, want to say a very big congratulations to 3 of you. Your prizes are already here for collection. I want to make it clear to you, we have a rule. You just have 3 days between now and Friday to pick up your prize. If you don't pick up your prize by Friday, we are going to award it to the next person that got the correct answer. So please, we appeal to you, come between now and Friday to pick up your prizes. We want to say very big congratulations to all of you that won, and to all of us that participated in the program. Want to say a very big thank you for participating, and to our guest, Engineer Beredugo, want to say thank you for being our guest inside the arena. We continue to pray that God will continue to give you strong health, good health, and continue to guide and keep you as you continue to make your contributions towards the development of our great country, Nigeria. Thank you, everyone. I remain your host, Engineer Ben O.C. Oko. See you outside the arena. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to
and
everybody.
For Julia, if you are in Abuja, you can call me to pick up your prize. If you are not, please kindly contact me so that I can send somebody to pick on your behalf. Thank you very much, and do have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, especially to those who provided the prizes. They kept it a very big secret, because when I called Ben Oko, he said, no, they are taking care of it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And for all those who came to support me in the arena, without your support, I would probably have been knocked out. But with your support outside the ring, I was encouraged to withstand all the barrages, all the that were thrown at me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.